The Taoiseach on the Tánaiste told us there was a gross underestimate of the cost of building the hospital. An underestimate by who? Did BAM underestimate, or who did? The contract was awarded on foot of a competition. BAM told you what it was going to cost. If there was a scope change, then obviously the price goes up. But if your scope wasn't determined, why did you just go for a fixed price contract? You didn't give the price to BAM, they gave it to you. So it's not an issue of underestimating the true cost of the project. It's an issue of awarding a contract at a fixed price and letting it escalate because you used the wrong contract. The Tánaiste, you said, we must recognise that a significant mistake was made in this process when costs and quantities were being estimated. Estimated by who? Did you do a public benchmarking analysis prior to the tenders going out to the contractors? If so, who did it? Have they insurance? Will they be held to account? Minister, you said a solid and explicit rationale was put forward back as far as 2015 that this was the right way to go. Well, was it now? Who put it forward? Will they be held to account? I've said before, this is actually, we're not at a point of no return. We're only starting. And right now, you haven't a clue where the price is going to end up because of the form of contract that's been used. And unless you re-tender, you are not going to know where it's going to finish. The Taoiseach talked about other big contracts coming in on budget and time. We've done this before. What you forget is that FIDIC, an international document, was used for those contracts, not for this one. We used a very poor Irish contract called the Contracts Works Management Framework. In this case, why, only God knows. Taoiseach said this is not an issue of taxpayers' money being wasted. It is. Hundreds of millions of it. If the wrong form of contract is in place and the costs are going out of control and you refuse to change the contract, then I say you are wasting taxpayers' money. The legal advice for the Children's Hospital at the Mater site was to stay away from the Contracts Works Management Framework. So why did McCann Fitzgerald advise the board to use a wrong form of contract at the James's site? Can you answer that question for me? Will anyone be held to account for it? Had you had no problem with the fact there was a conflict of interest, that a member of McCann Fitzgerald was on the board? Was that okay? Why did you appoint PwC to review the fiasco? Were they procured? Were procurement rules breached in the appointment of them? PwC are not independent. Do you know that they are actually involved? They partially drafted the Contract Works Management Framework, the framework that we're saying is causing all the problems. They had their paws on that. They were involved in the drafting of it. Are they going to turn around and say that their work was poor? We look forward to that one. The truth is, I'm sorry, but you have failed with the Children's Hospital. You're losing hundreds of millions because you failed to manage the process properly. Minister, the notion that this is all your fault and that you should be held personally responsible is nonsense. I don't buy that. But I do think your government should be held to account. And just how that's going to be done, I'm not sure. You're calling for elections in Venezuela. They had elections there last year. The opposition decided to boycott them because they knew they wouldn't win. Now that Trump is organising a coup there. We're the ones who need elections. Maybe we're the ones with the dysfunctional democracy, not Venezuela. I don't expect you to understand everything regarding contracts for construction, but I would expect you to hire the right advisors and to do the right thing when problems arrive. But you're not doing it. And it's at a great cost to the people of Ireland that you are not. You are making a huge mistake by not re-tendering. It is a massive mistake. You're going to carry on regardless, by the looks of it. And it's unfortunate that you've been given the opportunity by the main party in opposition to do that. And that is really disappointing. And I understand, while I mightn't agree with it, I understand your argument about Brexit and that you can't go there at the moment. Well, actually, John McGuinness's point isn't the worst I've heard. Why don't we agree now to dissolve the government at Easter and have an election afterwards? This is, I think, the manner in which you have failed with the Children's Hospital, I think it's demoralising, I really do. And I think that you shouldn't think that it's good enough, and you should rethink. It mightn't look like the right thing to do. It's politically difficult to do that U-turn, but it's the right thing to do, and you should do it.